So last week, they said Charlie Kirk was just murdered. Israel's responsible. Now, the natural question for anyone skeptical, someone like myself, is why would Israel kill Charlie Kirk? He was pro-Israel until the day he died. What's the motive there? Anti-Semitism is exploding everywhere in the world. The whole world has turned against Israel. The youth, the right, the left, everyone has turned against Israel.
So what they're telling you is a 30-06 round, which can blow through elk bone, was stopped by Charlie Kirk's neck and a vertebrae. If you believe that, God bless your little heart.
Benjamin Netanyahu and AIPAC probably think they own Turning Point at this point. I bet you that's what they think.
They call me Danks on lock. Yeah.
Is Nick Fuentes willing to die on that hill that they didn't, and that Charlie Kirk was a shill for Israel to the day he died, when there's plenty of evidence showing otherwise, that he was threatened, that he declined $150 million to shill Israel harder? That's a very, very serious amount of money.
As you know, it's been a very contentious subject on the show. There's a lot of people that are under the impression that there was some wider conspiracy by the Jews, by Israel, to kill Charlie Kirk. And as you know, I am not convinced of this at all. And I've seen people say it's becoming clear with each passing day that a conspiracy is not very likely. It seems that with each new revelation, the more answers we get, it seems implausible. It seems more implausible that there's some conspiracy. And now the goalposts are shifting. So it started out with Israel did it, and you're covering it up, and you're avoiding the subject because you're afraid they paid you off. And now they're saying, well, why doesn't he want us to ask questions? Well, you could forgive us for not trusting the FBI. Well, why should we believe the FBI story? So there's been a very subtle changing of the goalposts. Last week, everybody was sure. Now they're saying, well, hey, well, you can't attack us for not believing the official narrative. And I think that's because the evidence is drying up. And I want to say at the outset on the Israel conspiracy, you know, initially I just didn't say anything about it. I did my show last week on Thursday. I didn't even address it. And I tweeted throughout that week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I said nothing on the subject. And you know what people told me? They said, you're avoiding it. You're covering it up. You're hiding it. At first, I just said nothing. I didn't even talk about it. And people started coming at me. Why is he avoiding it? Why are you not talking about it? Are you in on it? I'll lay out the case, which I did on Monday. I said, and here's the FBI narrative, and here's the discrepancies and problems with it. I said, and here is the Israel conspiracy, and here's where it makes sense, and here's where it doesn't make sense.
All right, I'm going to tell you where it makes no sense. The reason why it pisses me off about Nick is because he's acting like the official narrative is true, and it's blatantly not true. Watch this clip. You tell me if you think that the official narrative of a 30-06 not blowing someone's head off and everyone behind them is an actual theory that is believable, because it's not believable. This is not true. You can't shoot a 30-06 and have a man of steel stop a 30-06 bullet when it can go through 2 deer or a big ass moose.
His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel. It should have just gone through and through. It's likely would have killed those standing behind him too. In the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. I'm blown away by how stupid this is. They are now going to tell us that Charlie Kirk took a 30-06 round to the neck from 150 yards, and his neck stopped the bullet. No exit wound, no pass-through. They found the bullet just beneath the skin. And I'm going to show you some new ballistic tests with the 30-06 against human bone here in a second. But let's look at the actual post. Guys, I'm going to be honest, I had some people send me this last night when it first dropped. I remember I was sitting on the couch next to my wife. She showed it to me. I read it, and I said, oh, that's so dumb. That's obviously fake. There's no way that's real. And I just moved on with it because it was just, this was so outrageously stupid that there was no way. There was no way that this was a real post. And then I wake up this morning to hundreds of you guys emailing me and messaging me this exact thing, that yes, this is in fact real. And I believe, as far as I know, Andrew Colvett here is the executive producer at Turning Point, and he put this post out last night. Let's make our way through it. All right, here we go. I want to address some of the discussion about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. I'm usually not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter, and I apologize, this is somewhat graphic, but in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle, and I want people to know. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital. That seems weird because that's a violation of HIPAA, but okay, let's keep moving. He said the bullet absolutely should have gone through, which is very, very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round, for a 30-06 round. Yes, it is. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc. Yes, a 30-06 round can penetrate through and through. Elk bone is significantly more dense and strong than human bone. Why? Because elk get up to almost 1,000 pounds. And so the bone has to be extremely dense to carry that much weight. Now, let's compare it to human, okay? Well, for one, let's talk about where Charlie got shot. He got shot here in the carotid. If that did hit a vertebrae in his neck, let's understand that neck vertebrae is some of the most fragile bone in the human body because it's so flexible to handle what we do with our neck. So what they're telling you is a 30-06 round, which can blow through elk bone, was stopped by Charlie Kirk's neck and a vertebrae. If you believe that, God bless your little heart. Now let's look at this actual ballistics test. All right, so he's got some very thick bone here across the strap of this dummy. Obviously, this would be far thicker and stronger than a human vertebrae in the neck. Let's see what this 30-06 rounds does to it. Wow. All right, from this angle, as you can see here, not only does it go through that bone, it explodes the bone, blows through the dummy. Also, as we'll see here in a second, blows through the wall behind it. Right now, he actually shoots a ballistic plate with 30-06 round. Destroys the plate.
So let me ask you a question, Nick. Are you shilling for Israel, scared of Israel, lying, or retarded? I need to know, because everyone here follows and believes in what you're saying is the truth, and now you're acting like the official narrative is true. There's no way that a 30-06 can just stop at 150 yards or whatever it is, even 250 yards, and stop on a neck bone. It's impossible. So I'm tired of hearing this bullshit from you, Nick. It's time to stop bullshitting us.
And then people said, you don't believe it. Well, that's because they paid you off and you're afraid. It's like, okay, so first I was avoiding it. Then I addressed it head on and laid it out in detail, but I don't believe it. Now I'm a shill because I don't believe it. Okay. Well, here we are now, a week and a half after the fact. Charlie Kirk was murdered last Wednesday, so it's been a week and change since it happened. And a lot of these questions that were initially asked are now being answered. Because that's sort of how these things go. When something surprising happens, when a crisis happens, you know, it actually takes time to establish all the facts. People are saying, we need answers. Where's the... And don't get me wrong. Granted, that is a healthy response. That's a healthy and normal response. You should ask questions about it. But people were asking it in a rhetorical way, as if to say, we're not actually interested in the answers. The question in itself is a form of evidence. What am I referring to in particular? Let me be specific. So last week, they said, Charlie Kirk was just murdered. Israel's responsible. Now, the natural question for anyone skeptical, someone like myself, is, why would Israel kill Charlie Kirk? He was pro-Israel until the day he died. What's the motive there? Anti-Semitism is exploding everywhere in the world. The whole world has turned against Israel. The youth, the right, the left, everyone has turned against Israel. Why would they kill one of the few people that is still pro-Israel? And they said, well, they're going to replace him with someone even more pro-Israel. I said, yeah, that seems far-fetched. That seems like a stretch. Ben Shapiro, in his coverage of it the following day, said, I will pick up the blood-stained microphone from Charlie Kirk and carry on the mission. Now, I took that to mean rhetorically that he is going to keep fighting the same fight that he is going to do campus events. He will advocate for basic conservatism. Rhetorical. He didn't mean I'm literally going to take over Turning Point. I think what he meant was we're going to carry on the battle for conservatism.
That, I guess we're going to end up finding out. We're going to see if that's the case. We're going to see who's going to fill those shoes. I know Erica Kirk is, I think, the interim CEO right now. But who's going to fill those shoes? Can anybody fill those shoes?
Everybody else said that.
And another thing is, this is starting to annoy me that he is just how is he going to start believing the typical narrative that they deliver to us when he's always combated that? He's always never believed it. They're lying about this. They're lying about that. They're lying on the Epstein files. They're lying about 9/11. They're lying about Iraq. They're lying about this, but they're definitely not lying about this. How the hell does that make sense, Nick? I'm really starting to question your efficacy.
Means Ben Shapiro's taking over Turning Point. It's regime change. They killed Kirk to get Shapiro in charge. Kirk was wavering, so they needed to appoint a more staunch, hardline person that is pro-Israel. Well, what happened in the past few days? Did Ben Shapiro replace Charlie Kirk? Idiots.
It's only been a couple
dummies
days.
Who don't understand rhetoric. Did Ben Shapiro take over from Charlie Kirk?
What do you want? Do you want this to happen in 1 week? He died last week. He's just had his memorial and all that. What are you thinking is going on here, bro? You think it's just like that? This isn't a video game, dude. Things take time to move.
So, and by the way, some people just lied about that. Some people just falsely reported and lied about that. They took that clip where Shapiro said, it's our mission to pick up his bloodstained microphone and carry on the work. And people just lied. And they said, Ben Shapiro announces he's taking over Turning Point. That's not what he said. But they just lied. Well, who was appointed as Charlie Kirk's replacement? His wife. His wife, Erica. Now, if Israel murdered Charlie Kirk, and if that was credible in any way, and Erica Kirk knew about that, how would that help Israel? If Charlie Kirk was wavering, he was obviously pro-Israel. He talked to his rabbi the morning that he died about how to defend Israel on his campus tour.
You don't think that it's easier to get to Erica Kirk and to have her fulfill whatever agenda and to get the right people around here, whether it's through Secret Service, CIA, somebody becoming her best friend, something to manipulate the situation to become pro-Israel? You don't think that's a possibility? Who the fuck do you think you are, bro? You think you know what's going on over here? I've made my whole channel watching you and talking with you about you. But this is bullshit. You are hiding behind something now. We can all see it. We see when everybody's doing it. It's not just you, bro.
If Charlie Kirk was wavering and Israel killed him, now he's replaced by his wife. Do you think she's going to be more or less pro-Israel than him?
More.
Israel just apparently murdered your husband and father of your children. So if he was wavering, now she's going to have a blood feud with Israel. How does that help them?
These people are smart. They're smart, dude. They're smarter than you. They're smarter than us. You don't think that over the next 5, 10, if it takes 25 years, you don't think that Israel will run that business? You don't? I want to know in the comments down below, do you think that that could be the case? You know, I'm going to stop it here because I'm already frustrated enough watching him act this way. I've never seen Nick Fuentes act this way. So let me know in the comments what you think is happening down below. Like, subscribe, and watch some of these videos and see in these Nick Fuentes playlists what he's been like in the past.
They call me Danks on lock. Yeah.